Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Zenon and Miles Matrix for our Electro Funk episode.
Hello.
Say hi, guys.
Hi.
How's everyone? That was Kid Midi from Miles Matrix's latest record, and it's pronounced Laboom. Please correct me.
Yeah, Laboom is exactly right, actually. I had a great laugh at Dennis on Night Ride on the State of Synth. He had problems pronouncing it. He said something like Laboing, which I like too, which I mean, got to give it to him. It's also a good title. Maybe do the next one, call it Laboing.
Laboim. Yeah. Laboom's out. It came out November 17th. It's available on all platforms, on Bandcamp, on Spotify, iTunes, and everything, right, Miles?
Exactly. Well, it's actually coming to Spotify in 2 weeks on 3rd of December, because I always like to do the exclusive Bandcamp thing first.
That's actually smart.
I think it was Alpha Chrome Yayo who started with that, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
I really
like
the idea.
Actually,
yeah, because it's somehow I get the feeling it's just, it's not much, but it's just not that so many people are waiting for it. I mean, it's more symbolic, really, just a little perk for the supporters on Bandcamp, and I always like to do it that way. Have it a bit exclusive for a while.
It's the same formula as the cinema in theaters. You go out in theaters first, and then several weeks later, it's available on streaming. right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, which is really cool.
It's
So
always
tell.
quite disappointing these days, isn't it, when it comes out on streaming at the same time as the cinema, because you just feel like, I'll just watch it on streaming.
It's true, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I
more
love going to the
comfortable.
theater, you know.
it shouldn't devalue the experience, but it somehow does. I mean, not the artistic performance behind it, obviously, but somehow it does somehow devalue the experience for me. I don't know if I'm just like, being an old sod or something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, it to a degree, it does. It definitely does, especially let's say Dune, which is my new favorite movie right now, which came out on theaters, and I should have actually
Yeah.
seen it on theaters first because we're all cooped up in here and stuck in here, so we had to go on streaming. But it's like one of those video movies where you're like, man, yeah, that in a giant screen would be completely amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see it in the cinema. I'm gonna try and go and see it in the cinema.
You should
Was
definitely
it
go
good?
see
Did
it.
you enjoy it? Well, it's your favorite film.
I love Dune. Oh my
And
god.
I'm not surprised. While watching it, I actually thought, I think the Serena were at least like the costumes.
I loved everything about it. Even the way they lit and colored like the entire movie was so beautiful.
Yeah. Did he also?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know I don't know if you know the artist Benjamin Clementine, but he also had a short cameo in the film. He's I think a British singer. Incredible voice. Also, if you don't know him, you have to check him out. He's got a very incredible range in his voice, and sometimes very operatic, sometimes very soft. His debut album was pretty cool. I think he was even discovered in Paris as a street musician. And
see, that's how it should be done now. We should just go out on the streets with our synths on the streets of Paris. And perform there and get discovered. That's how. Well, that's a great story, though. I love stories like that. By the way.
Yeah. So he had a cameo.
But wait, what
which
was his role?
Cool.
What was his cameo in the movie?
Just no, it's not a spoiler. When they come and bring the message that they're supposed to take over Arrakis, and the messenger basically.
The messenger.
That's
him.
Very great singer. Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah, he looked really cool. All right.
Yeah, I thought you would know him because he's an amazing artist and very special too. And I think you'll like him. If not the music, at least his whole persona should be right up your street.
I would definitely check it out now. Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about you, Miles. So I asked you earlier. So you have the Mouse Matrix project, and you also have the Arcade Glitch project. What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so for starters, just to get that out of the way, Mouse Matrix still exists as a project. I think it will continue to exist too because I still have a lot of fun doing it. But I have a couple of projects, and I was just sick and tired of having different Instagram and Twitter accounts for everyone, especially because last year I went off Facebook after the American election because I was totally burnt out from social media. And I noticed that it wasn't really helping to be on social media so much. Plus, I still had a private account, which I also got rid of. So I thought I'd just consolidate it into one account. And arcadeglitch.com was the URL of my website. And I wasn't really sure what I would be doing with it. And I used it for a couple of streaming shows I did this spring. But then what I'm now using it for, so Arcade Glitch is basically the name of my new little Synthwave DJ show that I'll be doing on a regular basis. It's like
cool.
1 hour mixes, and that's the name for that. And
do you air that on your website? Where is that aired?
On YouTube. On YouTube for now. I might be doing it on Twitch soon. I just have to get that whole streaming shit going.
Oh, cool. Man.
But I'm doing it on YouTube for now, so it's recorded, pre-recorded, and then uploaded to YouTube, trying to do it live in the future. And since Mouse Matrix and all the other music stuff, like also got the ambient stuff with Future Nightmares, happens much more seldom. Like there's much more seldom any news coming out, but that will be a regular thing, the show. I thought it just makes sense to have it, and hopefully nobody minds if I just drop a couple of Mouse Matrix stuff in between.
Why
No,
not?
please do. Yeah, we love it. We love it. So Laboom is your electro funk offering. And
It's really,
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, we know
I'd
you
say.
for synthwave, and then but this new direction, and it's really cool because it actually sounds very directional. It doesn't sound like a lot of what the traditional electro funk music is out there, and that Kid MIDI video we just showed, super cool. And that's what it really brings me back to that time. And I love the fashion. I love like that whole culture. Like we all
Yeah.
grew up with that. But tell us, like, what are your influences, and like what made you decide to go into this new direction?
Yeah, so I'm not sure it was, like I can't say I sat down and thought this will be the new direction for it. Very often, I'm somebody where let's start differently. I'm not a classical musician in that I know a lot about musical theory. I can play a couple of chords on the guitar and that's it. So my writing process very often it happens in my head a lot. So I come up with melodies in my head. I sometimes write the complete song in my head and then somehow try to put it into my DAW or anything else. So that's very much how my music happens. Or I just, without knowing anything about playing a piano, I just
Imagine the notes.
Yeah, exactly, or jamming on the keyboard or something like that. Just trying to come
I
up
do
with
the
something.
same, I can play stuff, but I still do the same. I still write a lot of stuff in my head and then just
Yeah, I already
Yeah,
have the song written in my head, pretty
yeah,
exactly.
much,
Yeah, so
and it's just
you can
like
relate. Yeah,
bringing it, yeah, putting it in the
yeah,
MIDI, like putting it in your DAW, and then finding the right sound design. You know,
yeah,
s- it's that's
totally,
I feel like that at least that's the process. That's my favorite process, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
like it's hard for
same.
me to just jam. Some people just jam and they jam so well, and I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
But to me, I just can't do that because once I start jamming, I just get lost. Like I'm just like lost, and then it suddenly becomes this weird progressive metal piece. It's like
I always find like ideas in like the strangest place. Like I'll be out in the supermarket or something, and I'll think of a melody, and like I get my phone and like
yeah, that's how I
sing it in the
do.
phone.
totally.
It's like always someone looking at us like,
What's that weirdo doing there?
and
honestly,
you rush
When,
and you rush
on my
home,
phone
and
I've
then
got
you
like a list of just like new song chorus idea, like funky song verse idea, and it's just me just going really like falsetto, like fake voice, because I'm trying to be quiet,
I often do that when I'm out
Fine.
with my dog, and he
Yeah,
looks at me like, "Oh, you're so embarrassing right now." He doesn't like. Do you have animals?
yeah. Well, not right now, but we had a dog before, yeah, but I don't have a
Okay.
dog at the minute. I love dogs. I'm a dog person.
So do your animals like it when you sing? Because my dog hates it. He also doesn't like it when I dance at home or anything.
Our old dog used to sing as well, I think. He said, "Oh."
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't do
Yeah.
that. He just
I don't know.
yeah.
Don't know if he liked it or not. No.
My dog
maybe.
Hamlet doesn't really care. Doesn't seem to care. Like he just looks at me, and as long as I'm giving him attention, or if he feels like I'm still giving him attention through my singing, like he's cool. Yeah.
Okay, but Hamlet also seems like a very zen dog actually, because Charlie's very excited. He gets very excited about stuff quickly. So yeah, probably
What
need to
kind
be a
of
zen
dog do you have, Miles?
He's a dachshund mongrel. I would
Oh
show him, but
wow.
he's not here right now. He's with
I
his
love
mum,
him.
and he's
Fair enough.
he was adopted from Hungary. He got run over by a car there, and we got him when he was 2 years
Oh.
old.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so
Oh
That's
wow.
cool.
Is he okay? Like in terms of like he no massive injury or anything from the car
um,
accident?
he was badly injured, but thank God no internal injuries. So it was like
Okay.
a broken pelvis and a broken leg. So he's a bit disabled in the back, but it's
Oh,
okay. He's fine. I think. I
he's
think
doing good.
sometimes he has, like, when there's a weather change or it's particularly cold, he might get a bit of a sting or so back there. But all in all, he's fine.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's common with every, even with humans, like, so I injured my left knee, um, back when I was 18. I was playing volleyball, and
Oh shit.
I that it even though it's kind of fixed, but it's not really fixed. It's
Hmm.
still my weak knee.
It's
But
always
yeah,
there.
whenever I'm like the barometer for the weather. Like I know when it's gonna rain. I know when there's gonna be a massive shift, in temperature. Like my knee starts complaining.
Mhm.
Yeah. But wow.
Yeah, I know that. Well, how do we get to dogs? I mean, it's obvious we would get to dogs
I
sometime.
don't-
Yeah. Oh yeah, the singing part. Yeah,
Mhm.
influences exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then no worries. I'm the biggest tangent taker in conversations. It's mad. Yeah, so it wasn't really, it wasn't a conscious decision that I said I have to do something different, but I also felt that I did say I want to do something different, but it wasn't like when I thought about it in spring, I didn't really know what to do. And then what happened was I was going through some of my Spotify playlists I have, and I stumbled across this one with electro on it. I thought, man, I really like the music. And then I remembered that back when I was I grew up in Germany, so
Mhm.
the lowest level is Grundschule, basically ground school.
Mhm.
And I had a classmate, a Turkish kid, who was really into breakdance. And he was the star of the school, obviously, because also when they're like, school presentations, he always, we have to get Ramazan to do a dance. And he had the music to it, and we loved the music. And he like dubbed the cassette for me one day, and I listened to it forever till it really wore out. And back then, obviously, I didn't know what it was called, because when you're a kid, you don't really care about genres or
Yeah.
anything. Just
Yeah.
listen to music you like.
We just called
And
breakdancing music.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's what we call it, breakdancing music.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really loved the cassette. And then I also had a cassette full of synthesizer music. You remember, like where there were cover versions of hits that were played on the synthesizer that was really popular end of 80s and 90s, with huge compilations. And there was one where there was quite a lot of songs that were similar to breakdance music, but was basically electro. So it was like electro inspired from them, including stuff like Herbie Hancock's Rocket, where he also got into this kind of electro and started thinking about it. And I really really liked it, and then yeah, that's how it really all started out. And so I just started writing that music, and actually I wrote quite a lot of it on my little. I love this thing so much, my little Roland MC101, which is just like a little
Oh,
groove box,
that is
and
cool.
that thing is
Yeah.
so great. I've tried a couple of groove boxes, and this is my favorite so much. So because
I love it.
I thought, now obviously it's got a lot of synthwave influence in it too, the album. So it's
Mhm.
not strictly electro funk, but it's
Mm,
electro inspired retro wave, as I call it.
mm.
But what I really wanted to take was this more minimalistic approach. So
Right. No,
Yeah.
or
it's
8 tracks
like that's what
maximum.
I said. As I said, it sounded more directional because of like what you
Yeah,
infused into it, you know?
Yeah. You
definitely.
can definitely hear like the kind of minimal. It's really different to all of your other stuff. But like I said to you in the message before, I think it's like the best thing that you've done. I
Cheers.
think it's really really good stuff.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
really makes me happy, to be honest, that you say that, because not just because it's a compliment, but because I wasn't really sure, because this is really something I did for myself this time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can relate. Like the first album, I was trying to sound like the people I liked, and I was really trying to be like, and maybe the second album too. I mean, I'll be honest about it. It was at least half was like, hopefully people like it, and
Yeah.
now this year I was finding that space where I was doing it for myself, and
Mm.
you still want people to like it, obviously. So I'm really glad that many people do like it. And
Yeah.
and I think the important thing is really, and that is something I also say with biggest humility, is that this whole electro scene, or electro funk, many use it interchangeably. There is a slight difference. I'm not really sure what the difference is, so I'll just always go with electro or electro funk. But this is really it's like the godfathers of electro, together with Kraftwerk and a couple of others, because
Mhm.
It was really a whole bunch of mainly black musicians, really, who made it popular. And together with the rising old school hip hop scene, like even Ice-T put out an electro track back then in the 80s.
Oh, really?
That was really
we
you
have
to
the
check it out.
video.
Oh, really?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And one of my
Yeah.
favorite tracks, really, and they really pioneered it. And I always put Kraftwerk in it because they themselves also said, like, I think, also Egyptian Lover, he also said that he's very much influenced by Kraftwerk, and you have to hand it to them. They pioneered a lot too.
Yeah.
But then it was really these mainly black musicians who in New York's club culture put electro front and center. And I think a lot of music nowadays, electronic music like house or disco or modern disco, really goes back to these influences. And then, like with Detroit techno, it just fanned out and got into different stuff. But what I really like about electro is this, that it doesn't adhere to the 4 to the floor formula, which is cool. I mean, I love techno and I love 4 to 4 in synthwave, and that's all fine. So I'm not having a go at it at all. But it is something different, and I like that about it. And I think it just makes it a bit more interesting. And that's where I also think with the instrumentation, the minimalism is very important because you have a lot going on the drum and percussion tracks.
Yeah.
And so it's important
all about
that
the
you
percussion,
don't.
isn't it?
Yeah. And that really gets going. So that were my influences, really. And I try to not copy it, but infuse it with some of my own ideas and still be authentic and be able to also pay tribute to it. And I think it's very important because as a white artist, and this is really a predominantly black culture, it's very important for me always to also state that I'm trying to pay tribute to it because I think a lot of that got lost also in history.
Right. Well, let's take a look at one of your influences. We're going to look at Ice-T's Reckless video.
Yeah.
And this is Mouse Matrix choice for tonight.
Once upon a time, a DJ's task was just to play records. What more could you ask? But then came remixes, scratching and cuts, which was too much for many. Drove some DJs nuts, but the DJ named Love has reigned supreme as the turntable wizard of the hip-hop scene. So listen to and check it out, but remember this: when the glove's on the wheels of steel, he's reckless. This high-powered music is truly unique as the glove cuts the rhythm to the hip-hop beat. He moves like a madman as he spins his disc. He's the #1 scratcher on the DJ list. He's reckless. Now I've seen DJs, too many to name. Some gain recognition and even fame. But when you talk of MCs, Ice-T is the best. And when you talk of DJs, forget the rest. Gloves reckless.
Okay.
That was really cool. That was really rad. I love the breakdance moves and I love the fashion. I think that's like one of the things that really like stuck out with me back then when I was a kid is that the fashion, with the glasses and the silhouettes, like the big shoulders and the pants and like the Nike Air Jordans back then. Well, did they have Jordans back then? Maybe Jordans were a were much later.
Yeah, Air Max, I think was.
Oh, Air Max. Yeah,
Air
there you
Max,
go. The Air Max. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Adidas tracksuits, obviously, they were so important. And the Kangol hats,
the
too.
Kangol
The
hats.
bucket heads.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, it
I
was
remember. Do you
so
guys
amazing.
remember when I was at school? It was like these pants were popular called poppers, and they like popped off. Like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? They're like
absolutely.
They're like kind of buttons all the way down the side of the pants, and you could like just pull them off.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And like if you were at school, say it was like an on close day or something like that, people would like come up behind you and like rip your poppers off.
There's another term for that. There's another term for those pants.
Oh really?
I totally forgot what they call. Yeah, breakaway pants. I think they're called breakaway pants.
Maybe we call them poppers.
Yeah. In Germany, they call them. Well, at least at my school, they call them in German "Reiß auf und fick mich Hose," which translates to "Are you allowed to swear on here?" It's not on radio, is it?
Yeah, totally. We swear all the time.
Rip it off and fuck me trousers, basically. But yeah, they were. My parents refused to get them for me. For one, they were too expensive. We couldn't afford them, and they also said that's not proper pants. It's like with us.
I think we have similar name in the UK as well.
I don't think I was allowed to just get them, only because knowing how clumsy I am, they would just basically rip apart or come off. Yeah. At most unexpected times.
Right. It's really amazing talking of these parts, really, how Adidas and Nike both framed this era too. I think I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm too young to really know, and I didn't really research that. But could that be one of the era where, like, music really got a grab on influencing fashion too, or was it already early? I'm not sure, but
I think
definitely had an impact.
Punk.
It definitely had an impact. Yeah. Punk definitely is huge, but I feel like if we, in design, whenever when I was doing fashion, and whenever we're building collections, we always reference musical eras, and that it just always like goes hand in hand, and it's inseparable. And I think that's what makes the whole thing so beautiful, because when we look at pockets of times and eras, we hear it through the music, but we also see it visually in terms of like what people were wearing at that time, and that's what I feel what creates nostalgia, and the combination of aesthetics, like visually and audio, and that's why I love doing fashion and music. It just works together.
I mean, I don't have a big idea of fashion, really, especially high fashion. I'm very uneducated of that. But I do like fashion in general because, I think because of the aesthetics. And I was thinking about that when I rewatched Beverly Hills Cop the other especially the second part. And really, Eddie Murphy's outfit is so iconic, come to think of it, with the college jacket.
Yeah.
And the regular fit jeans, but then also was he wearing? I think once he's wearing Reeboks and he's wearing Pumas, then he's got Nikes too. Yeah. It's just so iconic, the outfit he was wearing. I think that also really influenced a lot, especially in music too. This whole college jacket stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was watching Eddie Murphy films recently, and then all I kept looking at was the fashion, and then for some reason that time in movies they were a lot more fashion forward, and I don't know what happened. And it's like now I was like, everything looks so boring unless it's a sci-fi film. Like,
that is so true.
That's true, like they had a moment.
Yeah. Did any of you guys ever watch The Expanse, the series, the science fiction series?
I've seen
basically
parts
also
of it.
cyberpunk. And then I mean the fashion in there is also so cool. They really it's many of the fashion is similar to what we are wearing now, but they've like reimagined how it would be about 100 or 200 years.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. It's not a completely different humanity. It's our humanity, and that's how it could look in the future. It's not detached from what we have now. And
do you remember the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester
Yes.
Stallone? And it's like set like maybe now or maybe like the early 2000s, and like everyone's going around in like these big like cloaks and stuff, and like everyone's dressed in the same thing, and it didn't really pan out that way. But yeah, it's funny though. But it's funny because they talk about, like, in that movie, they talk about they make a joke that Schwarzenegger became a politician, and this is before he ever became a politician. I think they said he's like president or something like that. But yeah,
you might have got the idea from that.
Right. Yeah,
you might have watched the movie. I should do that. I could
He
totally
got programmed
do that.
from that.
I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, let's take a look at another Mouse Matrix music video, and then it's
Which one's
this
that?
is can touch this. You
yeah,
spelled it differently, and I was like trying to like figure out how to pronounce it until I heard it, and I was like, oh, it's can touch this.
Yeah. So it's obviously play on words on MC Hammer piece, but it's basically Countach this for the Lamborghini. Yeah, and it's so funny because researching it, like in Europe, many said Countach, because apparently it's a Spanish word. It's not even an Italian word. It's a Spanish word. It's pronounced Countach or something. But the Americans said Countach. Some said Countach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went for Countach just because of the pun.
I went for I was thinking Countach for a second. All right, we're gonna look at "Can Touch This" by Mouse Matrix.
Lambo. Lambo. Lambo.
Can touch this.
Lambo.
Can touch this.
Lambo.
Can touch this.
Lambo. Lambo.
That was so cool.
Very good.
Cheers.
I love it.
Really nice.
Lambo.
Did you sample the did you do the Lambo yourself?
No. That's text to speech. Actually, I used some text
Oh,
to
is it?
speech.
Oh,
Publicly
really?
available software. Yeah, I
That's
used that
cool.
quite a lot of the album actually. Also, the Cool Tash This is also text to speech, just a different voice.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
And also the
wow,
last song,
that's
the
so
Cupcake song, is
cool.
completely text to speech.
And
Only
like the vocoder stuff, is that are you doing like vocoder style like yourself?
yeah, exactly. That was me because I have this belief in paying artists for their for their work, and then that's why I didn't collaborate with anyone on the album, because I was like, I can't pay anyone at the moment. And like with a single, it's easier because you can then just split it. On an album, I just find it a bit complicated, so I thought I'd do it myself this time. And,
It
so
sounds cool. It's really cool. Well done.
It's to spill the beans. It's a really cool plugin and I don't get money for this, so it's fine. It's Ovox from Waves. I know many hate Waves plugins, and they are a pain in the ass, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the Ovox plugin is really, really good. It's you can do so much with it, and yeah.
Oh,
so,
cool. I've never used that one actually. I'll check it out.
Sorry.
I said I've never used that one actually, but I'll check it out for sure, because I've been looking for a decent one to do all that kind of stuff, because I've never really dabbled in it too much before, but I'd like to.
Yeah, but you guys have really cool singing voices, which I don't. So that's why, like vocoders. I went for the vocoder because it wasn't about me anyway. So it's just like having the vibe. But yeah, I mean, vocoder is cool. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and that's also I think a very big part of that electro genre, and that is something I think they really got directly from Kraftwerk. I think that is where the Kraftwerk influence really got into it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And also what I really found interesting in looking at it is that, and that's the big difference to today's music, is electro, at least when you do old school electro, sounds total shit when you put a compressor on the mix bus, at least when you have too much compression on it. It sounds really, really bad. And so that was also an interesting learning from it, really, how that has evolved too, because unlike modern EDM, also a lot of synthwave, really, you can use a lot of compression. It sounds good.
Yeah.
But with that genre, somehow it just doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah.
And so you've got compression on the drums, and
you need the depth. Yeah, you definitely need the depth. And I've been actually studying a lot. I mean, I'm not a mixing mastering engineer. I've established that. I always work with Von Herzog when it comes to mixing mastering. But we've been dabbling with levels of compression in specifically in what I'm doing right now, because I'm combining organic instruments with electro, and then kind of fine-tuning, finding the balance, really. And you can't really overcompress, so you really need that space, and that
definitely
that what do you call it? You need space between your instruments to allow each one to ring out in a certain specific way. And but yeah, it's interesting that you're also encountering this when you're working on your record, even though it's all electro, it's electro funk. I think the stylistic treatment for compressor also plays out, like, it has a very, very strong what do you call it, like a role in how this genre sounds.
Totally. And I also think what you mentioned, the depth, I think that is also very important, especially because you've got so much percussion going on. It's also with a lot of underground techno, you also notice that although they have compression, they also have quite some dynamic range, actually. And anyway, I must say, I mean, you mentioned Von Herzog. He's just, that master mix dude.
But yeah, I'm trying to kind of find that kind of balance. I feel like what Miles was saying before, like on the mix bus, like on the master bus, I tend to do some multi-band compression and stuff like that, but also to keep the dynamics like literally quiet in the quieter parts of the song, and then you still get those dynamics, and you can still compress it quite heavily. So that's another way to kind of look at it. Like, you can still have a lot of compression without it sounding really compressed.
Squashed.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, without it sounding squashed, and it still sounds big and like epic and stuff like that. So it's kind of finding like this interesting balance. Like with the electronic, with the synthwave stuff, I feel like, especially if it's really hard and in your face, you can just like, you know,
Yeah, because it's like
smash
with
it and like
electronic,
brick wall limiter, and this kind of thing, and it's fine.
with full on electronic music, usually it's you don't have to worry about like that whole room like sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So with the organic sounds, let's say when you're recording drums, you're recording violins, cellos, you need that whole room sound. And you can't, if you compress that, you'll lose that ambience and that atmosphere. And then but with electronic music, it's so much easier because you can just go full on flat linear compression and just push everything up. But then when you're dealing with more organic sounds, you need that headroom, you need that space. But
And then you still want to make it like super loud for Spotify,
super loud as possible.
You want it to sound as loud as, I don't know, the other guy's stuff.
If you're in a playlist, like you know,
exactly.
like
you don't want to be like bow, bow, and then
yours is
your
like,
song comes in.
That happens. I feel like everyone's mixes and masters are always going to vary. You know,
exactly.
So I personally hate it when it's too loud. Like there's a few tracks like in synthwave where whenever it comes on, like I swear, like I spill my coffee each time it comes on. It's like, oh my god, this is like 5 decibels louder than everyone else. Like, you know, it's like I don't know if that's good either.
And I know what you mean. Yeah, it's good to find a happy medium. Like some people really push it and go for like, I don't know, like EDM levels of volume for their Spotify. Like you've got that kind of like really big, I don't know, -6 LUFS or whatever. It's like super loud. Like find a balance, of course. But that's the good thing about having like technology now. You know, you can go on Spotify and you can listen, especially if you master your own stuff as well. You can listen, what do I want to sound similar to? And you just put it on and just reference that. Yeah.
But
it doesn't sound loud enough. Okay, that's good.
What pisses me off though is the like, you know how certain streaming services like Spotify and YouTube, they do penalize you.
So I've done a lot of testing with this, all right? And they don't really. It's like,
I don't know. I feel like they always do, and I feel like I always get hammered with that. I'm like,
I mean, the only way you can really notice it in certain ways is, you know, when you're on the Spotify app, you have like a normalize button, which is automatically on, right? So on your Spotify app or on your settings, it's normalize is already on. So all the songs are being squashed to this kind of one volume. So a lot of like heavily, a lot of loud tracks are like really being squished down and they sound really squished. But if you turn off the normalize, which a lot of people do, a lot of people know about it these days. So you just switch it off and then everything's
it's just on your normal mix.
Yeah, you get your normal mix.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say go wild, because I just go wild now and it's fine.
But Zen, isn't that just a limiter that Spotify is employing there, or is it?
Yeah, basically they're putting a limiter on it. Yeah, essentially. Yeah. But it's
they basically no, it's not a limiter because it doesn't really move. It basically it finds the median. Or finds your overall, like let's say if you go over negative 14 LUFS on, they normalize, they even it out. So it doesn't really, it's not dynamic like a limiter. It will just it will just flatten it out and then bring it down. So
it won't like squash it down, but it will make it quieter and
quieter. But
so you do get a sense of that, like kind of when you hear the normalized ones, you do get a sense that they've compressed it a bit, maybe not limited, but compressed it a bit. So it's like it does sound very squished and weird. Sounds a bit odd sometimes, especially if you know from your own song, because you listen to your own song so many times when you're mixing it or that kind of thing, and then you hear it like that, and you're like, this is not what it's supposed to sound like. Do you know what I mean?
Mastering is such an art form, really. And
It
I
is an
think
art form.
I have so much respect also like you, Xenon, with your own Xenon Studios, people who do that for a living, because it's such a challenge every time. Well, for me at least. I
It's
mean, probably
learning
more.
all the time as well. I'm still learning a lot, you know, but
Yeah.
you get there with it, yeah. And it's also like everyone has their own taste as well. Do you know what I mean? So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how good you can do a job or how good you think it sounds to you. To somebody else, they might have a different like vision for it, and they might think,
Right.
"Oh, actually, I want it to sound less like this." You know what I mean? So it's and that's kind of learning what other, you know, finding out what the other person wants and stuff like that as well. So
Right.
it's all fun, but but it's tricky
It
at
is
times.
tricky. It's a whole science of its own.
Mhm.
It's really the scientific aspect of music making.
Yeah.
You know, there's that creative aspect where, you know, where we make all of our dreams and, you know, come true, and with the unicorns and rainbows, you know, just go buck wild. But then when you get to the scientific element of it, or like how do you actually make all of these ideas sound great together in the
Mhm.
mixing mastering aspect. And me personally, that's where I'm like, okay, I can mix and master with like maybe 12 stems and under, but once I go beyond that,
Mhm.
like when there's a lot of layering and a lot more a lot more layers and a lot more dynamics, I'm like, okay, this is not my business to handle anymore. I need a
Fair enough.
professional to do
Yeah,
this,
totally.
or at least, or
But I
I
mean,
can probably figure
you
it
work,
out, but it will take me like a year to like mix and master something really well.
yeah, but that's fine. And you work with Von Herzog a
Yeah,
lot,
but
right?
yeah,
And
well,
he's great. So I mean, I think you guys make a good team like that, because
he
I've heard the
gets
stuff
he
you've
gets
done
me.
together.
Like that's the
That's
thing.
really
It's
good.
like he gets it, and
Mm.
I've also I definitely have posed certain challenges for sure with my production, where because it's just like how do you mediate guitar sounds with violins, like stuff like that,
Mm.
that could get really really tricky, but he's able to do it, we're able to figure it out.
That's
And I think
good.
that's the fun part where like, okay, it's let's dream it, let's make it big, and then
Mm.
let's figure out the technical details together. And I
Mm.
think that's when it gets really fun, because I feel like we're also doing something that's new to us, and we're learning something new.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
that's ideal, really, isn't it? Because you're building this relationship over several records now. So it's like
Mhm.
you are this, for lack of a better word, like this audio team, and
Mm.
he's helping you shape your vision long term. And I think that's a much better approach than like maybe even changing engineers over different records, because he can really help you
Yeah.
reach that vision as a team too.
I've always believed in that too. Like, you know, as a designer, like, okay, so same thing with fashion, or let's specifically shoe design, right? Which is really technical. It's much more more engineering than creative, actually. And so it's like you always I always believe in working in teams. Like you always have your creative head and you have your technical head, and like, you know, very few people like you guys who can really wear both hats really well, which is really really that to me is very very hard, because I always feel like with me I'm always going to be stronger in the creative end, no matter what, or whether I'm doing design or I'm doing music. I'm always stronger in the creative end, like the conceptual end. And then I always like partnering with, like, you know, the mad scientist, like, you know, tech person who can
Mm.
really help me execute um the ideas properly,
Mm.
within you know, those are all in within metrics, within scientific formulas that only they can do and they've been mastering. But that's just how I work. I've always worked that way. Um, yeah.
And it works. So
It works, yeah. It always works, and it's something that even in the fashion industry, we definitely uphold that. Always have our designers, and we call them the modelistas, which are the technicians, and we barely go on doing everything ourselves. But there are at least two heads on a project, and that's always highly encouraged, because we want to make sure that everyone's focused on their strengths, and then do it together to get
Yeah.
to the results. So,
Yeah.
but let's look at more music videos. So you had a Lamborghini and Couldn't Touch This, and we picked a Calm Truth music video. Actually, Miles, you picked this because
Yeah.
it's another one that you've mentioned as another major influence in your recent record. So tell
Yeah,
us
and
why.
not just in the recent record, really. I mean, I don't think.
I mean, it's Calm Truth.
Yeah, right. Comtruz doesn't really need any introduction. He's for me, but I still think for me personally, he's one of the most innovative producers in the scene. I don't even know if he considers himself part of the synthwave scene.
I don't think he does, but
I don't think it does, yeah.
but
I,
yeah,
I don't even know.
But
if
we
he
love
knows
him
of
anyway.
it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah.
One of my good friends knows him quite well, and he toured with him last year,
Cool.
and he went on tour with him, and he says, "I'll give him your record," like, and well, I never heard anything from him anyway. So.
Yeah, I think I mean, I know nothing about him, but he does also seem to be someone who he likes to put his art front and center of everything.
Yeah.
And
Do you
it's
guys
great.
know that he was also an art director and designer?
Yes, I love that
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And you see it in his whole
You
visual
definitely
style.
see it.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful. I mean, it's
his covers are always really cool as well. Like his
there are some, like
Galactic
duets.
Melt one. I love that one.
Yeah, like Duet, they've got this completely coherent visual style.
Yeah,
And Comtruz is also one of them. But also his music. I really love his music because he really he does something. Well, he does something first of all completely different to myself, and he is so much better than I am, and that is something I really just like to listen to because I can learn so much for the creative process, the way he goes about writing a song. And since I don't have a lot of knowledge about music theory, really the way I learn is I just listen to songs over and over again and try to dissect how this song is built up. And this song especially is one of the few songs really in the whole synthwave scene that moves away from the whole 4 to the floor, which again is not bad at all. I love 4 to the floor too, especially in techno too. But it is actually it's a rarity really in the scene that you have the 4 to the floor. And in this case, I think this song really exemplifies how cool it can really be in something that is much more synthwave adjacent than maybe the old school electro stuff. Stop driving on.
And it also has cars in this music video. Like that's why I mentioned we had Lamborghini earlier. We're gonna see more cars, cool cars in this next one. And this is Hyper Lips by Calm Truth.
That was great.
So that
My
was
job being a delinquent.
That was really nostalgic. That video, just seeing
Yeah.
I was gonna
Tokyo.
ask you, did it make you nostalgic for Tokyo at all?
really bad. Yeah,
Really bad.
I miss it all the time. Yeah, so it's like seeing like Tokyo Station and like little parts of like Shinjuku and stuff that I noticed on there. It was really cool.
And also
Yeah.
these Japanese motorcycle gangs are very interesting. I watched a documentary.
You
about
never
them.
see them, but yeah.
You never
Yeah,
see
I think was back in the days. I think they used to be much bigger a while back.
Yeah,
It's just remnants now. But yeah,
super interesting though. I mean, you never really see the kind of underworld, you know, that kind of the Yakuza, that kind of stuff. You never really see it. Like it's there, but you never really see it. So
You mean
But
they
you're
don't have
supposed
the
to look at one
tattoo
in the
parlors?
eyes.
Those
What's that?
tattoo parlors, the Yakuza tattoo parlors, they're not just like hanging around. Like they're just not like out and about. Like, hey, you
Yeah.
want to get your Yakuza tattoo? Like
Yeah.
sleeve.
It's funny, like, because he has tattoos apart from Yakuza. Because, like, if you have I mean, it's kind of different these days. You do get some people with tattoos, but if you see someone with a tattoo, like, they think, oh, you're Yakuza kind of thing. Like, if you go into a hot spring, like an onsen, and you have a tattoo, you can't go in. Like, you just can't go in. They won't let you in.
So even just like an innocuous tattoo of your dog?
Yeah.
Like,
No
really?
tattoos. Yeah. If you have a tattoo, then you can't get into the hot spring
Like at all? Like
at all.
at all? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's quite interesting.
crazy.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
crazy.
interesting.
yeah. A friend of mine who
So
stayed
lots
in,
of like
I have like 4 tattoos.
Westerners can't go in. Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
Westerners do, and like people tourists, they want to go and have an onsen and stuff, but they can't. Luckily, I don't have any tattoos, so I could do it. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'd have a problem. And a friend of mine who stayed there for a long time in Japan, he also said they have some places where Westerners can go. They're like especially for tourists.
Yeah.
But they're probably not run by Japanese people, but probably by immigrants or something like that.
They do have some. You mean like they have these large onsen theme parks, kind of like where you can go and you get like a robe and stuff, so you can take that and you don't have to be naked when you do it, because that's the whole. A lot of people don't like being naked when they do it. Obviously. So there's like kind of theme parky ones where they'll have like the onsen will be like wine will be one of the like waters. One of them will be like electrified, so it's like you get electric shock when you go in and stuff like that.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. I never did it, to be honest. I did the normal one a couple of times, but I was quite embarrassed, going in like just like
hi.
But,
it is kind of unnerving. I mean, it makes me
it's hard to
uncomfortable
get used
too.
to a little bit.
Yeah. And you're like trying not to look,
Yeah, and especially like when you don't know what to do, because like the first time I did it in a public one, it was like just one other guy was in there, and I like peeked my head around the corner, and he saw me, and I thought, oh, I can't leave now, so I had to go in. And you're supposed to shower and stuff like when you get in there. So he was showering, and I was like, I'll just copy him. But
so once you make eye contact,
I'm like looking at him, so I'm like looking over him, like he's washing himself. I'm like, do I have to wash myself?
So once you make eye contact, you're committed. Like you have to commit.
Yeah. And then we like both got into the onsen like at the same time. And I was just sitting, and he's like, "What do you do? Do you speak to them?" I don't know, so I didn't really speak. And then he got out eventually, and I was like, oh, "Okay, I can just swim around."
Wow.
It sounds like one of these, like one of these Hollywood fish out of water comedies about people.
Yeah. That's what I felt like a lot of the time.
I love how we went from Comtrues to Xenon stalking naked Japanese men.
Thanks to Comtrue's Hyperlips music video with all the Yakuza bike gangs.
Yeah. Cool video though. It's good, yeah.
And also that mix of his is also so crystal clear.
Yeah, very good.
Mitch Murder levels, really.
Really, really awesome. Well,
Totally.
Comtrues is he's not necessarily a pioneer, but he's up there in the synthwave community. You know,
definitely
but,
that retro.
Yeah, it's retro
definitely up
music.
there.
Retro
Yeah.
music feel. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of pioneers, Zanan, you picked Mitch Murder.
Nice.
I did, yeah. And it's Mitch Murder
featuring Satellite.
collabing. Yeah, so it's actually they used to have it as featuring Satellite Young, but I think now, like when you look at it on Spotify and stuff, it's just a pure collab. So I don't know if they changed it.
Okay.
For one reason or the other, but it's like Mitch Murder and Satellite Young together, and Satellite Young are like a really, really great synthwave band, and really like not talked about so much. I feel like on the synthwave scene, even though they're like, for me, they're one of the best, and really good.
I feel like the scene, there are the active ones, like like us, we're always engaging, and then there are definitely like some artists who are making big waves who are not necessarily engaged within the scene, but we all discuss them, we all celebrate them, know them, and listen to their music. All right, and this is okay. So I don't know is it Sniper Rogue or Sniper Rouge? I don't know if this was a misspelling.
I think it's Sniper Rouge. Like whenever you read it everywhere, it's ROUGE.
UG. So Sniper Rouge.
Yeah, some people like have uploaded it on YouTube as Rogue. The classic era.
I saw both. That's why I was like, which one is this? All right,
Rouge,
we are looking
Rouge.
at Sniper Rouge by Mitch Murder and Satellite Young. All right. I don't know what the extra clip was.
It's
But
a
that
really
was
good
neat.
pick.
Yeah,
Which
nice
one?
one. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Like I was saying in the chat thing there, like just his production is just so good, so punchy and big, and like even though it's not like overly punchy or like overly massive, it still sounds quite subdued and like soft, but it's not. It's actually, if you listen to it compared to a lot of other stuff, it's actually really super punchy and like clean. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just love that song because like her vocals is fantastic as well. Really good.
Yeah, I love
But I
it.
think, sorry, Serena.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I think listening to that, I'm guessing you're getting a lot of your vocal influences also from like city pop stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like, I don't know why, but like, without thinking it, I guess, like I think Japanese music as well has this kind of a lot of kind of poppy, very melodic kind of vocals, like this kind of interesting but catchy vocals, which I kind of tend to go for in like my music as well. But I feel like maybe that stems from probably watching loads of anime and stuff. But when I was a kid, but also like growing up listening to like like pop punk and things like that as well, and getting that kind of and obviously, and I like like Rush and stuff like that. Like Rush have really like intricate but like fun and catchy melodies, like kind of memorable melodies. So I kind of try and do that without trying to do it. I don't know. It just kind of comes out like that. Whatever comes to me.
Yeah, but because a lot of your songwriting is also focused on storytelling, isn't it? And I think that's where when you look at especially like anime theme songs, I always find it interesting to read the subtitles and to see how much they fit into what they're singing about. So that's why they also have these intricate melodies, really, because they have to fit the story in somehow.
Yeah, lots of lyrics and stuff.
Yeah, and it totally works. And like when I was spinning Miami Cop beach race.
Oh yeah,
beach chase.
Miami Beach Chase. Yeah,
exactly. And that I noticed there, and I always also thought of the other band I thought of listening to music was Coed and Cambria.
Oh yeah. Some people have said that to me before. Yeah.
Really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, because they are a storytelling band, really.
They have like comics and stuff, don't they?
Exactly.
As well. Yeah. And to go with the albums.
Yeah, their first hit back then, A Favor House Atlantic. I mean, there's so much storytelling going on in that song, and they have these melodies. So yeah, and I mean they're also progressive metal band too, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I used to love them. Yeah, fantastic. I haven't listened to them for years, but
I haven't listened to them for years. But I used to love them too.
Yeah, and I hadn't listened to them like for a long time before I started even making the first album. So I guess it just stuck. I guess like things appear, don't they? Like little melodies. Probably stole some of the melodies. You never know. You just sing stuff and you're like, oh, that sounds good, and then you go back and it's Coed and Cambria.
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time, doesn't it? I mean, so often I thought, I have this really cool melody, and then I'm humming it, starting producing it, and I'm doing, and then I'm listening to music on Spotify. Like, oh shit, that's where I got it from.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
All right.
That's what happens.
All right. Well, speaking of catchy and hooky and memorable stuff. Our next pick, Alpha Romeo.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, synth fam, everyone's favorite, all around show guy. I mean, he is so awesome. And Miles, you picked this particular track from his golf record. And that, my friends, is what I call golf.
Yeah. So the couple of reasons why I picked Peter, and I mean, first of all, he's a swell guy. I think I'll agree on that. He's really a kind soul, and I really appreciate hanging out with him, even if it's only online. So for one, I think it's always cool to feature him, and but he's also in one way he's really inspired me, and that is to push boundaries and just do whatever the fuck you want. And he's pretty much the embodiment of that, because I mean, since his, to be honest, if we're really being really honest, since his Daytona EP back then, or song, he hasn't really been doing synthwave anymore.
Yeah.
But he is his
Still in the
his
scene.
music, exactly, his music
Yeah.
is still retrowave at least, and it's
Yeah.
nostalgic music very often, and he has a lot of influences in his music from different parts of it, and that
Yeah.
just makes it such a valuable part of the scene, really, because I think he's inspiring us all to try something different, and but never lose sight of the big vision.
Mm.
And yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's just so inspiring, and that's a track I like too. I mean, could have also picked
And
Mythical
you know,
Breaking.
Many more.
he
Hundreds.
really
Hundreds.
stands out.
Yeah, totally.
He stands out too in the scene because of the fact that he just, clearly he's doing it because he just loves
loves
it.
it.
You know, doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't like has no cares for
Mm.
for for what everyone else thinks. Like, he's just gonna do it because it's cool, and he
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
He's
And I
cool.
actually agree with Miles as well. Like, I actually feel the same way. He said, like, that kind of inspired you to just think, "I'll do whatever the fuck you want," kind of thing. And I really wanted to actually do that since like I was into the synthwave thing, when I started getting into it. And then the second album, I kind of wanted to go off and do a lot more different stuff, but I kind of stuck with what I was doing.
With the parameters of synthwave or something.
Yeah,
Like,
because I didn't want to go too far. And then
Yeah.
like this next one that I'm making now, I just thought like it doesn't matter. Like, just do exactly what you want to do, and
Yeah.
if you enjoy it is the main thing. And just and
It's
yeah, he
like,
was one of the people that I thought, well, look at him. He's like doing really well, and people who listen to him, he's got so many different kinds of music, but people are buying into all his albums and all his stuff, even though he's coming out with something completely different every time.
Yeah.
It's because
and it all sounds like him too. Like,
exactly.
And I always talk about the power of your DNA, your artist DNA.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what you do. You can come out with a trap record tomorrow. It will still sound like Zen.
It'll still sound
that's-
like you, exactly.
That's important. Like, and not to be so confined within genres. And
for you as well, Lena, like I saw like your new stuff is like completely different from the
completely
other stuff.
different. I don't even know
But
how
it
to
still
like.
sounds like you, and
Right.
it's great. Yeah, really good.
Serena Wave.
I think it's good that, like, and I feel like everyone's kind of doing that now. Like, we all got together. We all came together. We found each other through the synthwave genre, through the synth scene. But it's nice to see that we're all kind of like, okay, we get it. We see what the whole synthwave genre is about, what the synth genres are all about. It's time now to kind of just break away and define our own identities as individual artists, but we're all still sitting next to each other. We're still hanging. Our songs can still be in the same playlist, like can still sit, in the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of having the full spectrum of
True.
synth electronic music, and
not to be confined to that one.
Yeah, like we all don't have
genre, whatever.
Right.
And maybe it's also maybe less about the like a cookie cutter approach to musical style, and it's more about a vibe and the way you approach things. And what's cool about synthwave is it's taking elements from an era and transforming them and putting them together in a new way. Many say synthwave is like how people would have loved the 80s to have been. So it's maybe with this synthwave is much more about an approach to creating music. So you like picking different things and putting them together new and creating something new from it. Much more that than just a specific genre. Also look at rap. I mean, if you would ask somebody from the 80s or from the 90s who grew up with like West Coast, East Coast hip hop, and you would transfer him to now, and he would listen to something that is called rap now, which has a lot of singing involved. You probably would say that's not rap, but rap has evolved, and it's also a lot about the approach and the vibe and everything. So yeah, maybe that is something we can just, as you said, also apply to synthwave.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll take a look at Alpha Chromeo, and that one, my friend, is. Sorry, and that, my friend, is what's called golf.
You have selected 9 iron. You have selected V-neck sweater. selected money clip. And that, my friends, is what I call golf. Golf. Girl, when I'm standing on that green, it's like nothing else matters. Fused with the putter, eye on the hole, gripping the club, and I'm in control. Caddy at the ready, I can take on anything. Yeah, believe me, babe. Water hazards, sandbuggers, rich dentists, dirty players, lawsuits, muddy balls. I beat them all. With each drive, I am just in heaven, heaven, heaven. With every putt, my spirit will soar. Golf is the meaning of life to me, girl. So please don't test me. You know I love you, but this sport I love more. Golf. Is that a guitar? Are they allowed on the green? Oh shit, I don't care. This whales, take it alpha. Okay, now this is just getting dangerous, and I like it. You have selected 9-iron. You have selected V-neck sweater. You have selected money clip. And that, my friends, is what I call golf. Golf. Hey you. Get your damn hands off my putter, you lousy no good son of a bitch. Hey, I'm talking to you. Look at you, I bet that money clip isn't even 24 karat. Is that gold plating? Don't make me laugh. My tees cost more than your car. My clubs cost more than your house. You couldn't drive your way out of a paper bag, you stinking bastard. I ought to have you thrown out of here. Girl, when I'm standing on that green, it's like nothing else matters. Fused with the putter, eye on the hole, gripping the club, and I'm in control. Caddy at the ready, I can take on anything. Yeah, believe me, babe. Water hazards, sandbuggers, rich dentists, dirty players, lawsuits, muddy balls. I beat them all. With each drive, I am just in heaven, heaven, heaven. With every putt, my spirit will soar. Golf is the meaning of life to me, girl. So please don't test me. You know I love you, but this sport I love more.
All right. Alpha Chrome Yayo. His lyrics always crack me up.
Yeah, funny. Really funny. Hilarious.
Yeah,
Also, we've
brilliant.
got this inside joke going that he always freaks me out when he like records these videos of him jamming around and he stares directly to the
Just
camera.
staring directly at the camera. Yeah, it makes me really
And that
uncomfortable.
just weirds me out. It really makes me uncomfortable because I don't really like it when people stare right direct into my eyes. I like to avert the gaze. I've just got this inside joke where he now does it on purpose, basically, just because he knows
just does it
is
on
as well.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
One after another. He does make the best covers, actually. Best covers.
And I also think, was it Pterodyne? Yeah, either Pterodyne or Millennium Felt, who were like, when he did it the first time, they were just like on the toilet and in a very, very vulnerable.
Wait, who's in the toilet?
And they were just looking at the video. It was like, you're staring into my soul while I'm taking a dump.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think it was TD actually. Probably Pterodyne. Yeah, sounds like Pterodyne.
Well, that's like next level. I don't know. I don't know if I would last through that. All right.
Yeah,
So,
but also musically speaking, also great example how you can just like funk things up with the rhythm pattern really. So yeah, is it whether electro funk? It's always a good thing to just change it up a little. And if you into techno in general, maybe check out Hit and a Half. a German DJ and producer. She's also really cool. She's got a lot of electro influence in her techno, and also quite experimental actually in her own productions. So she's a really good producer.
Cool. All right. So speaking of synth fam, so this is my choice, and I love both of these guys so much, and they both crack me up on Twitter, and I think they're really, really great. And it's not surprising that they work closely together too. They seem to be really close. It's Shadowrunner and Jacket.
Oh wow!
And they recently, I think earlier this year, they released a collaboration called Borealis. It's really pretty. And speaking of production, I always thought that their production is so crisp and so
really good,
so wonderful,
definitely.
very lush and very, very good. And
I heard Shadowrunner's album that he did. Was it this year?
Yeah,
earlier this year.
it came.
And it's really good. Yeah,
It's
and really good
spectacular.
production.
Yeah,
really
very,
nice.
very it's very polished, and yeah, I think he did a great job. And
Yeah,
we're
it's good
gonna
stuff.
look at Borealis by Shadowrunner and Jacket.
Very nice.
Alright. So that was Shadowrunner and Jacket with Borealis.
Really nice vibe.
Beautiful track and beautiful video.
Yeah,
so sorry.
the video
Okay.
really
Shannon,
adds
you
something to
okay?
the song.
I'm okay.
Yes.
I honestly thought I had COVID. I took like 3 tests, but I don't have it because it's a dry, persistent cough, as they say.
You know, we
It's all
forget
through.
sometimes that there are still other viruses out there that could make
I
us
know, yeah.
sick. Yeah, Thorson was actually sick on the episode prior to this one, and yeah, and that's why we didn't get to do that episode with him, and then today he's just off. But yeah, but there are other diseases and sicknesses out there aside from COVID.
Totally. But last year in Austria, thanks to everyone wearing a mask because of COVID, also like the common cold and the influenza really was reduced in spread. So it seems hygiene does really help. Amazingly.
Hygiene does help. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is actually the healthiest I've ever been since ever since COVID came. Like I've with
Not
the
got sick and stuff.
sanitizing, I haven't gotten sick, and I used to get sick every year. Like I would every flu season totally would take me down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool now that we're realizing that yes, being heavily sanitized and making sure that you're using masks and hand sanitizers and all that it really does help, like with every little thing. And then I don't think I will stop wearing masks even once the pandemic's done.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna wear a mask. I'm still gonna hand sanitize. I'm still gonna bomb myself in alcohol each time.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a normal. I mean, if you look at like Asian countries, like they just wear them. They do it all the time anyway.
Japan,
you know what I mean?
Japan,
Yeah, very
they wear
just
them all.
normal. I to be honest, I really hated wearing a mask when I was like sick and stuff, but I did it because it's like respectful and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and now it's like normal everywhere, I guess. So
yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it's probably the same in the UK and in the US, but here in Europe and also especially in Austria, these I like to call them the freedom fighters. That they the people who claim they would have fought the Nazis in World War II, but are too afraid to wear a mask or get a vaccine shot or something. They're getting stronger and stronger, really getting more and more reach, and they just go on my nerves because it's really just a mask. It's really just a mask, and it does go a long way. And sure, yes, like today, I was in the hospital because I had physical therapy, and then I had a checkup with the doctors. And yeah, sure, I was 3 or 4 hours in the hospital, had the mask on constantly. It was warm, it was sweaty. Yeah, it's not nice. Obviously, it's not nice. We're not wearing it because it's fun. We're wearing it because it helps. And
right.
I really don't get
common courtesy.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a common courtesy. That's exactly.
I think that's fair enough.
It's it's a big problem in the United States. Like with all these anti-mask people and anti-vax, anti-mask, and anti-everything that's supposed to help us get out of COVID. It's and also it's funny because Zenon did mention out in Asia, and this is also where you see the cultural breakdowns are between different countries, different cultural societies, like and I'm me being part Asian and having grown up in Asia, like I've like I do see the difference in mentality. Whereas like in Asia, like it's much more of a communal type of mentality where it's about being courteous to your neighbors and to the people next to you, and that's why a lot of times you go into a restaurant and you'd hear people speaking like low, especially in Japan, like people are very, very quiet and very almost like tiptoeing like around other people.
On the train,
it's so
train is very like
they
really
take
quiet.
it to those lengths, whereas like United States, like in parts of Western society, it's like it's about the individual. It's very individualistic, where it's
Yeah.
always about like what they want, what like what we want, versus and not really caring about so much about anyone else. And I think you really see how that dynamic really plays out now. And it's sad, it makes me sad because yeah, like, also growing up in America, like, I've experienced that, I've seen that, and for
Mhm.
sure that's also in me, and I also do feel a lot of that conflict also internally, being from both worlds, where like, there's that Asian side that's like, oh, it's be more communal versus the individualistic side. So,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah.
That's my piece.
No,
Yeah, I totally get it.
fair enough.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are at our last video for
Wow.
tonight.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it
Time
is.
is really,
It's actually,
time really did fly.
yeah, we're almost at 2 hours actually.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. This
It
thing
hasn't.
can go on, like, like I
Yeah.
said.
It hasn't seemed very long at all, actually, is
No,
it?
it didn't feel like 2 hours at all. It was just so much fun.
Yeah, it's gone very
Yeah.
quickly.
It's I think it's also because the videos are fun, and it's just
Yeah.
nice to watch them, and the conversations are great, like, we're all sharing, learning from each other, and then learning each and everyone's takes, and I think it's really cool. But you, Zen, and you picked Micromat Scenes, who's a really, 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 really cool synth fam. But
Yeah.
tell us about this song that you picked,
Yeah,
Saturday
so-
Morning.
Actually, so this reminds me of like, so before I'd heard of Micromat Scene, so I think before he was on Twitter or anything like that, I had like a submission, like I made like a kind of spreadsheet for people to submit to my playlist at one point, I think, when it like back in the day. And
Like a year and a
and I
half
had-
ago.
back in the day, yeah. And I had this submission from like some guy at Micromat Scenes. I just listened to his song. Like I think it was this song, Saturday Morning. Oh, it was another song called Losing Touch, or I forget the name. I know it.
Yeah.
Losing It. Anyway, and this song as well. Like this whole EP that he released, this whole album. I heard the song and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Like it kind of reminded me a little bit of Mitch Murder, like, but not so much. It was more like kind of very authentic 80s in a lot of ways as well. And I heard it and I got in touch with him. I said, I really love your song. And I wrote like a little piece about him on my website, like on a blog thing that I did.
Yeah.
And posted it. And then we got chatting. And then I think he kind of maybe he was already on Twitter. But anyway, it kind of after that, I remember like he was getting like really involved with the scene, and it's just really cool like watching him like grow like as an artist, because he was always a great artist, but it was cool just seeing all the other stuff that he came out with, and he just constantly releases.
There's like a small crew of them that emerged recently, and I noticed they all came out and they're all wonderful, and I think it's Micromat Scenes, Maya Camera. I feel like they all emerged around the same time, and they also coincidentally they also seem to hang out a lot together.
Yeah,
and I do notice,
so.
yeah, it's like
But
you
yeah,
see
Micromat
patches,
Scenes,
right?
yeah.
Patches in our scene where like, okay, that's their crew, and then you see the Jack and
there
the
are lots of, like,
Shadowrunner. They're together, and then there's in the Dark Seed community, you see Draven and Connor hanging out.
That's
And, like,
right,
I see the cute little pockets, like,
Then you get the kind of the Night Ride FM crew, and then you get the
Night Ride FM crew, and then now there's the Absynth crew.
The Absinthe crew now,
Absynth crew now.
And the Forever Synth guys, all those kind of guys.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, it's nice.
Cool.
But yeah, Micromat Scene's like just great artist. Just he always releases great stuff, and more people should listen to him, I think.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at Saturday Morning.
Oh, also very quickly.
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
This is also a little bit. I chose this one because I edited the video for this. He wanted like some kind of like maybe old commercials and stuff like that, so I put it to some old commercials, and we put it on the YouTube channel like maybe 2 years ago, something, a year and a half ago, something like that.
Hmm.
So it's nice to go back and look at it. So
Awesome.
that was that.
All right, we'll take a look at Saturday Morning by Micro Scenes. All right, that was Micro Scenes with Saturday Morning, and I love that video edit that you did.
That was good job on all sides.
That was
yeah.
really cool.
It was
And then,
fun finding the little commercials. I knew a lot of them were American, so I don't know.
Did you have the clapper?
I
you
knew
didn't have the clapper?
The clapper. So I don't know if we had the clapper. I mean, I saw the clapper, like clap on, clap off.
Clap
the clapper. Yeah, but I saw it in films.
Yeah, you saw it.
Never in like real life.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a really authentic 80s jam. As we were saying in the chat,
Yeah.
just, I can really imagine that being an intro to an 80s show, you know, where you got the actors being shown like a different scene from the show, but then there's a freeze frame in the end, and you get
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man, really nice
Totally.
one.
Really
Yeah,
Well
it's really
done,
good.
Mateo.
very well done. Yeah, very well done.
It's
Well,
cool.
that concludes our episode, our Electro Funk episode. And
Yeah,
I just want to say
thanks for
thank you.
having me.
Thank you, Miles. And of course, Zenon,
Yeah,
as
thank
always,
you.
for
Not at all.
joining me tonight. And
Yeah,
this has
it's been
been
really
really
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. You know, join.
No, co-host. You're my co-host for
also-
tonight. It's good.
And
Okay,
also, I
it's
really
been
want to
fun.
say it's so cool to finally also have, like a face, or not only a face because there are press pictures, but like a moving face and
Moving
little chat.
face.
Yeah,
Because I
Yeah.
know we've known each other now. Us three, we've known each other for
the
quite
whole
a long time
time,
now.
the whole
Yeah.
time,
Just
The whole time.
Twitter.
Couple of years, like since
yeah.
it started, certainly since I started doing this. I've spoken to you. I think like you guys were very early on. I was speaking to you guys,
Yeah.
and it's really fun, like to see
I've even known you
see
before your
everyone. I'm
massive
looking forward to
playlist went off.
more as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I knew Xenon before his playlist went viral.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you weren't one of the people that like DM'd me like, "Hey man, so good to speak to you" after the playlist went viral. By the way,
Yeah.
by the way, have you heard my new
we
song?
did. We got to Xenon first before that playlist went viral.
Yeah.
And Serena,
And no, I'm no offense. Like I'm not no offense to any of those people that did that, because I would have done the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. We all do
still.
that in the scene.
We all, everyone
Yeah,
does
we all
it. You
do.
got God loves a trier.
And the first time I saw Serena was actually in Iron Skullet's blog, the review for, I think, your debut album or EP.
Yeah, my debut record. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Painted
For me,
Hollow.
that's
back
how I
then,
heard
it
of
was
you as
like-
well.
Yeah, for me it was like people who were in Iron Skullet's blog were stars of the scene.
Yeah.
And, it was like, and then you followed me back on Twitter. It was like, wow.
Exactly the same.
I
It was
miss-
exactly the same thing actually. Yeah, I was like, oh, I saw your review, and or yeah, it was like a write up, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I thought, wow, yeah, this person's really really big, and then I think I followed you as well, and then you followed me back.
Yeah, and then we started
That's what I
talking
was-
about Japan and photography, and then
Yeah,
and then your playlist went viral.
yeah, and then it went viral. Yeah,
Yeah.
Weird.
No, that was great. Yeah. I like, I miss Preston. I miss Iron Skullet, and ever since he folded his blog, I felt like it really left like a huge void, in the scene, and
well,
and
I mean,
part
yeah,
of the reason-
say what you want about him, but it
Yeah.
definitely made an impact.
he made an
um,
impact, and then I feel
either
like
way.
a lot of artists, like, it helped a lot of artists, and also helped
It did.
a lot of other artists who weren't even featured on that blog. It had that, like, those ripples, like, it sent ripples that really inspired other people, and
Yeah.
and I thought he was
also,
such a fabulous writer.
Yeah,
Like,
he was a
fabulous.
really good writer.
Totally a
And
great
also,
writer.
like, even for the artists that he wrote like atrocious reviews for, like that's probably the first time I'd heard of those artists. And
Yeah.
I actually got into he wrote like a really atrocious review for a Bart Graft album, and Bart Graft's like a musical genius. And and it was to me, the review, like I read it because I hadn't heard any of Bart Graft's music, and I read the review, and he was like, it's a shame, basically the review said it's a shame he puts out so much music a year, because he put out like a few albums that year.
Mhm.
He could just do one album and it would be really good, but instead he puts out a few and it's not very good, type thing. So I went and listened to it, and I was like, this is genius. I was like, it's actually really genius. So it's funny how like different people have, just different ears and different tastes. But he like completely slated it. But that actually got me into Bart Graft, which I found like really cool. So I thought,
Yeah,
good, whatever.
always
And I'm
goes
sure Bart
back.
Graft feels the same way. Like, he
Right.
got a write up, and a lot of people read that blog. So he probably got quite a lot of fans from that.
And it goes back, bad publicity is still publicity.
Good
At the end of the
publicity.
day, it's still good publicity. There's really no such thing as bad publicity. It's like,
Yeah.
as long as you get people, like, really talking about you, no matter what, it still puts your name on spotlight. It still gets your name in radars, no matter what, and also when it comes to opinion pieces and reviews like this, it's one perspective. We always have to take it with a grain of salt, and it's like, whether it's a great review or a bad review, we still have to take it with a grain of salt, and
Mm.
and it's I think that's important to point out, And as long as you're getting in people's radars, that's all that matters. Like, if you have to be scandalous about it, go for it. Just get in people's radars. So
Yeah.
To be fair, I do think I can understand that some were maybe even offended back then, because he was one of the only big blogs, and I think like in mainstream music, when you've got Pitchfork, you've got Complex, you've got Rolling Stone and everything. So if you get like one bad review there, you might get some mid-range reviews somewhere else and another review somewhere else, and then it's a bit different. But when you've just got like this one huge blog, and apart from Vilingo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
I think you're
so many maybe new retro waves still when they used to blog more. So I understand if you got a bad review that it probably hurts you at least emotionally, which is understandable if you're an artist.
Probably,
So, but then again, I don't think from let's say a financial or exposure standpoint that it did hurt, because as Sen said, you still discovered the artists, and I mean, I forget how they were called or how they're called. I think there was a new retrowave artists who really got a really, really bad review, but it also made me curious, and I thought, well, let's listen to it, and I sort of liked it. So,
I tend to actually pull up material from works and artists that have received like just okay reviews or bad reviews, like and because I want to hear it, it piques my curiosity. But it's nobody should always feel deterred if a major journalist like like have said something that you didn't like or you weren't expecting, but but that happens.
It's just
like
one person, even though it could be very influential to other people, and think, okay, well maybe it isn't good, but at the same time, it's getting the music out there. People make up their own minds.
Right, people make up their own minds.
If they're not like a sheep or whatever, they'll make up their own minds if they like it or not. And
it's like like we always talk about this in almost every ABSYNTH episode, but the 9 Inch Nails record, The Fragile, the Pitchfork review that basically Pitchfork like slaughtered it, and 9 Inch Nails fans were like, well, that is actually the most brilliant record that Trent had produced at that time, ever. It's like
there's a lot of the Pitchfork stuff, isn't there, where they've actually gone back and like fixed the reviews.
They fixed the reviews.
They've changed because they gave them like Daft Punk, was it like Discovery or whatever, like something really bad, and then like years later they went back and said
and changed it. Because it hurts them more when they're wrong, or it really does. And that movie Ratatouille. Ratatouille with like and then the figure of Anton Ego, the rats and the food, and then Anton Ego, the revered food critic that everyone fears, like and then he made a point in that film where it's like critics are like we don't really have a lot to lose, it's like but we got a lot to lose if we reviewed something terribly that's actually very valid.
Really,
so that's where they stand. Well, this has been really amazing, guys, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You guys have any last words to our audience?
No, stay safe, all that. Don't get COVID, like I think I have.
You don't have COVID.
I hope not. We'll see. But no, just thanks to both of you again. Like, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. It's been fun.
I mean, just generally, thank you to everyone who's ever listened to my music, because this is a hobby for me. I've got a different job during the daytime, and this is a hobby I take very seriously and I'm very passionate about. But it's not my livelihood. But still, I'm very appreciative of everyone who listens to it, and I still get. Basically, I always get the shivers when like a mail comes in that someone's bought the music on Bandcamp or someone's listening to the music on Spotify. That just it's so wicked, really. And yeah, I really appreciate it, and especially in such a small scene as the synthwave scene, it's so valuable to have really cool listeners. And yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Absinthe, and we will see you guys on socials. Good night.
Absolutely. Good night.